But if you have questions, you can ask. All right, so we're gonna work on shading the eye once you have your lines erased. So make sure I've checked it. When you erase your lines, you're probably gonna have to go back and redraw some things on there. And that's fine, just so that you can get them back on there before you start shading. All right, so I'm gonna work on her eye, and it is helpful to have both the black and white and the color, because the color is gonna let you see the shading a little bit better, or at least more of the details of her eyes a little bit better. But the darkest part of her eye is going to be what? The darkest part of her eye is what? The pupil. So it's going to be black, okay? But I do want you to pay attention. In their pupil, there should be a reflection, okay? So it depends though. If they are in a dark lit room, then there's not going to be, but most portraits are taken where they have the studio lights behind them, and you can see on her she has like a circle at the top, and then down here it's more of a square, but she has one on top of her pupil and one on the bottom. So before I start shading her pupil, first I want to mark those out. So up here she has the white circle, and then down here it is a square, and so that kind of runs over my pupil line, so I just need to go in here and erase that. And then I know to make sure to keep this white and do all my shading around it. Just gotta get this back on again. Okay, that way I kind of stay out of those spots. So this will be the only part on your portrait that you won't shade. Everything else will be adding value to, unless they have reflections somewhere else on their face, maybe their lips, possibly you would have more of a white part. To put down the color really fast, I like to use the B pencils. This is a 4B. 6B is going to put it down much faster than a 4B. So let's see if I even have that. I don't think I do. Oh yeah, I do. This one's a 6B. So I'm going to go ahead and use that, because that lets me not have to push so hard, but then it gets that dark black color on there really quick. So just go ahead and get that shaded, because like I said, like we know, that's the darkest part of our eye. Really make sure though that this is circular. If you're shading it in and it's like oval, it's gonna look really funny. So just make sure that it is a circle. So if you need help with that, please let me know. So we don't want our people to look like goats or cats with different shaped pupils, okay? The other part of her eye that's really dark is around the outside. Not everybody has this, but a lot of people do on their eyes. It's almost like a black outline around your colored part of your eye. Some people don't though. Some people have a really like thick black line. Hers is not so thick, but you can definitely see it over here and a little over there. So just going ahead and outlining the colored part of her eye real quick, because like I said, I know she does have an outline going around it. All right. Then when I do the colored part of the eye, you really have to look closely at the colors that are happening. And everyone's, like I said, everyone's eyes are so different. Some people's eyes are really dark brown, and it almost looks solid black when you're shading it. Others, like she's got kind of like blue hazel eyes. And then some people even with brown eyes have really light brown eyes. But most people, when you're shading their eyes, the colored part, I kind of do a starburst effect, because it is going around the outside like this. So I'm kind of exaggerating it for you right now just so you can see it. And then like I said, it depends on the colors. Hers, she's got more greens over here versus more blues, but I can see those stripes. Definitely over here she has one that I can definitely see, so kind of pulling that one a little bit darker. But then I just go in after I've done that and I can shade around the eye in that direction. So if I just color across in any direction I want, it's not going to look as real. So making sure I kind of do the starburst effect helps with that. The other thing I want to pay attention to is on the colored part of her eye, it is much darker at the top because of the shadow of her eyelid, okay? And it's lighter here at the bottom. So just making sure my values are matching. So over here on the right, it's much darker. And then also on the top, on this side, it's much darker. So darkening that up. And then now I can kind of do a little more of the detail. I'm looking, her colored part over here is really light and it's darker on the right side. Then I can also see some defined lines in here. So just going in and kind of doing that. And then her eye is lighter towards her pupil and is darker on the outside. So I'm kind of darkening up around out here and leaving it pretty light there. And like I said, it's different for everyone, so it really depends on the person you have and how theirs look. But most likely you're going to be shading it in this kind of starburst effect so that it doesn't appear flat. Okay. The other thing is the white parts of her eye are not as white as her reflection. Okay, so you have those two reflections there. So I do need to do some shading on the whites. The other thing too is her tear duct. You can see how gray that is. That's definitely not white. Okay, you might have a little reflection in there just from the shininess of her eye, but she doesn't. But even over here, you look over here at the white side, that's much darker than the white on the right side of her eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some color down there, and that's gonna help. There's just a little dot there, I guess, from when I was measuring her eye to start. And that's just to make the eye appear rounded. Our eyes are spherical, so having a little bit of shade here helps with that. And then same with over here, that's her tear duct, so shading that just a little bit. And notice I'm just using my regular pencil now, so I'm just using the number 2 pencil, and I'm holding it back by the eraser. That lets me control how hard I push. And I'm not gonna put a lot of color in here, but I'm just gonna put a little bit. And then now I know I wanna darken this tear duct up just a little bit. Okay, and then I have, these are blenders for pencils. They're really just rolled up pieces of paper, kind of. That's not really what they are. I mean, they roll these really tight with glue to make them. I didn't make these, I bought them. But I have a bunch of them over there by the pencils. They're in like a little Cheerio cup, and you're welcome to use this. I like to use my finger, but some people like to go in here and just get this really nice and smooth. And then when we start shading the face, I'm gonna show you how you can use this to also put value in the face without using the pencil. All right, and then of course, her eyelids and her eye makeup, she has a lot of black eyeliner on, so I'm not gonna put as much, make it as dark, but it is very dark because your eyelashes grow out of the same place on your eyelid, so that's almost makes like a black line even for boys who aren't wearing mascara. So just going in here and kind of darkening up this lid, because like I said, your eyelashes are growing out of that spot, so that's why it does appear really black, even if you don't have eyeliner on. And then down here, same thing. Down here, you might be able to actually see 2 layers of their lid. I can't because she has so much eye makeup on. I can kind of see it, so it looks something like this. I'm kind of exaggerating it here. But you can see a little bit of that lid, kind of fleshy part next to her eye. Okay. Now that I've got her eye shaded, I do want to do some shading around the top and the bottom of her eye before I put her eyelashes on, so that's where the blender would come in. So just adding a little bit of value under her eye. I still have some lines on here, sorry. Thought I erased all my lines, but there's just one more where I divided it in half again. All right, so I'm gonna put more color up here. Your eyelids, and I know we can't see hers because of her bangs, but so I'm just gonna kind of demonstrate here. They're going to be lightest at the top and darker here on the sides. So adding a little value here and a little value here. And then also everyone's eye is different where it becomes, for your eyelid, I'm sorry. Some people have what's called hooded eyelids, and that's where you can't see the fold. So on hers, you can kind of see this fold that's going across. This one's not as defined, kind of meets up with the top of her eye. But some people have really defined folds. Okay, so this is the fold of her eye. And others don't have it at all, which is called a hooded eye. So they don't have that eye fold. So it just depends. So you're gonna have to look at your person and see how it works for them. Now that I've got shading up here, it's lighter at the top, it's darker on the sides. I've got my eye fold, and then I do a little more shading on top if I needed to, but really for her, it's all bangs. Now I can go in and do those eyelashes, okay? When I do eyelashes, they curl, but it depends on which side of the eye you're drawing as to where it's gonna curl, because the front part here, you're not gonna see that curl, whereas on the side, you're gonna see it a lot more. So just to exaggerate my eyelash for you, okay, so if this is the eyelid and the eyelash is coming out of it, okay, it's gonna grow thicker at the base, and then it's gonna start to thin out here at the top. Messed up a little bit there. So I'm really exaggerating an eyelash, like if we could zoom in, make it really big. So it's gonna be really thick at the base here, and then it's gonna be thinner at the top. And then on the corners, it's gonna curl. Okay, so if this is the top of the eye, you're only gonna be seeing this part. It's gonna be going like straight up. So depending on what part of the eye you're on, they're gonna curl over here on the corner, and then they're gonna go straight up on the top right above the eye here. And hers, I'm sure she probably has fake eyelashes on. Actually, maybe she doesn't. But you can't see the eyelashes, and most people, you're not gonna see the eyelashes here by the tear duct as much. They kind of stop growing right about here, right about the color part of your eye. So I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly put those on. So like I said, they're gonna curl, and then I kind of like just feather them out. Don't go crazy. You put too many on, it starts to look more clown-like than real. And most eyelashes are gonna stop at that fold. But if they have fake eyelashes on, they might curl a little bit over that fold. And then making it a little bit darker here at the base, okay, where they're grouped together. Okay, and then the bottom lashes are gonna curl at the corner here. Okay, and then when we get to this colored part of the eye, they're gonna just look straight. And the bottom lashes, you definitely don't wanna put as many as the top. Okay? Are there any questions? So you do eyelashes last.